lost 2001 Rookie of the Year honors to Kevin Harvick, it should also be noted that Busch entered Winston Cup Series with no experience on many of the series tracks and little overall racing experience. In fact, many believe that Kurt Busch is the better future talent, given his age and his skill level. Another thing that sets Kurt apart from his peers is his aggressiveness. In one such incident at Bristol, Jimmy Spencer was leading the race when Spencer was bumped out of contention by Busch, giving Kurt his first victory. In another incident, Busch was again criticized for some things he said after the Winston at Lowe's Motor Speedway. During that race, Busch had bumped Robbie Gordon, spinning him out and forcing a yellow flag. Now, Busch said flat out that while he hated using Gordon that way, he wanted to better his odds of winning and a strong finish. Now, any driver would privately admit that this type of thing was as old as racing. However, the fact that Busch publicly admitted doing it astounded many NASCAR veterans. NASCAR officials weren't too happy either and slapped him with a $10,000 fine for his comments. Busch later said he regretted the way in which he described the race. It was a very expensive lesson. There's no doubt that Busch will have a very successful and memorable career in NASCAR racing. He is a bright and articulate young man who is now learning the other side of racing, how to cope with the fame and fortune that come with being a well-paid celebrity. Busch was the hottest driver in the waning weeks of the 2002 season, finishing third in driver points.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has led a life that is both charmed and tragic. On one hand, he has benefited from a family rich in racing tradition, having a grandfather who was one of the top 50 drivers of all time, and a father who was a 7-time NASCAR Winston Cup Series champion, has certainly helped shape the career of this third-generation Earnhardt. But the young Earnhardt has also had to carry on after the loss of his father. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was born on October 10, 1974, in Kannapolis, North Carolina. As a kid, Dale Jr. learned about racing and the family business by performing odd jobs in his father's shop. His first real race car was a red Chevrolet Monte Carlo that he built at age 17 and began racing at a local track. He also enjoyed racing legends, which were scaled-down replicas of modified pre-World War II coupes and sedans. His first victory came in 1992 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway on the eve of his 18th birthday. After completing high school, Dale Jr. attended a trade school for a couple of years and then took a job at his father's Chevy dealership. His first career start in NASCAR's Busch Series was at Myrtle Beach on June 22, 1996, where he finished 14th. Then in 1997, Dale Earnhardt, Inc. needed a NASCAR Busch Series driver to fill the vacancy created when Steve Park was moved up to the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. The senior Earnhardt decided that it was time to give Dale Jr. his shot at the big time. Dale Jr. made his NASCAR Winston Cup Series debut in 2000, along with NASCAR Busch Series rival Matt Kenseth, and everyone was predicting good things from that year's rookies. Dale Jr., given the nickname Little E, got his first NASCAR Winston Cup victory at Texas in just the 12th start of his career. He added another victory at Richmond and became the first rookie to win NASCAR's all-star race, the Winston. But he lost the rookie title to his buddy and rival, Kenseth. 2001 was going to be a banner year for the Earnhardt family. With both Dales in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series now, they were looking forward to some good times, but that didn't happen. In the first race of the season, the Daytona 500, Michael Waltrip edged Dale Earnhardt Jr. to win the checkered flag. However, as the drivers gathered to celebrate, it became apparent that something had gone wrong with the car driven by the senior Earnhardt. And in a race in which the Earnhardt team had done very well, the worst possible news soon was learned. Dale Earnhardt had been lost when his car was slammed into the outside wall in turn 4. The loss of his father was devastating to Dale Jr., and it no doubt affected his performance for the remainder of the year. However, he did manage several very emotional wins in 2001, including the July race in Daytona, the September race at Dover following the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and the October race at Talladega. Dale Jr. finished his second full season at a respectable 8th in the point standings. With a very difficult year behind him, Dale Jr. began the 2002 season fully focused on the upcoming schedule. And it didn't take long for his renewed commitment to bear fruit. He won the first NASCAR Busch Series race of the season at Daytona and then took second at the Bud Shootout. Dale Jr. also got his 6th career win at Talladega. But what may have impressed fans even more than his resiliency after facing so much adversity was a race he could have won but didn't. In the Winston All-Star race at Charlotte, Dale Jr. had an opportunity to bump leader Ryan Newman's car. He chose not to, even though doing so would have allowed him to win, and Newman won the race. This single action speaks volumes about Dale Earnhardt Jr. and underscores a fundamental difference between him and his father, the Intimidator. Indeed, Dale Jr. represents the new breed of NASCAR driver, more rock star than cowboy. In many ways, this has moved the drivers of today into the mainstream of American culture and furthered NASCAR's appeal across a broader spectrum of fans. He still surfs the internet and likes to sleep late. He still likes to hang out with his buddies, often in the basement of the house he built on Earnhardt land, not far from the trailer where he lived just a few years ago. Earnhardt Jr. turned that basement into his own nightclub, complete with floor-to-ceiling speakers, and nicknamed it Club E. In the past year, however, he's redone things and turned a place where he and his pals used to party into a place where they now more often just chill out.
Ryan Newman.
Indiana native Ryan Newman is a force to be reckoned with. Although a virtual unknown just a few short years ago, Newman rose to the Winston Cup Series with nearly perfect performance. In fact, during the first half of the 2002 Winston Cup season, the only thing Newman didn't do was win a points race. In spite of that, he entered the season's second half sitting in 12th place in the standings with 2 poles. Newman also won the Winston, NASCAR's All-Star race, and although the victory didn't earn any points, it earned him a nice chunk of money and a great deal of respect. Newman was well-armed in 2002, backed by owner Roger Penske, and teamed up with 1989 Winston Cup Series champion Rusty Wallace. His biggest challenge of the season was another rookie driver, Jimmy Johnson. Now, during almost any other season, the numbers that Newman was putting up would earn him Rookie of the Year, but Johnson seemed to always be just a little better. Halfway through the season, Johnson had 2 victories and had beaten Newman 11 out of 18 times. Newman also has something else that few other active Winston Cup drivers have, a college degree in vehicle structure engineering. He earned it from Purdue University while he raced USAC open-wheel cars. Now, Newman is a prototype for the new breed of NASCAR driver, intelligent, soft-spoken, hard-working, and technologically savvy. His engineering background and fundamental understanding of principles such as aerodynamics should pay big dividends throughout his career. Now, racing has been a passion for Newman since his childhood, when he raced quarter midgets as a 4-year-old. In 1995, Newman moved up to the USAC level and won the Silver Bullet Series Championship in 1999. He is now in the Quarter Midget Hall of Fame. Newman began stock car racing in 2000, driving in a Michigan ARCA race where he finished 7th. He seemed to grasp the subtle nuances of stock cars quickly. In his second race at Pocono, he won. After winning at Pocono, Newman claimed victories at both Kentucky and Charlotte and set a new qualifying record for stock cars at Charlotte with speeds just under 187 miles per hour. Now, of course, having NASCAR legend Buddy Baker as his driving coach helped get Newman started out right. And in fact, Baker continued to mentor Newman when he took his next big step, the Winston Cup Series. Newman first raced in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series in 2001, when Penske put him in a small number of races in addition to his 15 NASCAR Busch Series schedule. This allowed Newman to maintain his rookie status the next year. He shocked NASCAR by winning the pole in the Coca-Cola World 600, not too bad for his 3rd career start. But so far, the biggest race and most important victory to Newman is the Winston in 2002, when he beat Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the win. In fact, just after the race, it was Earnhardt Jr. who was among the first to join Newman in victory lane and offer his congratulations. In a way, it was very fitting that he do so. After all, Earnhardt Jr. is the only other driver to win the Winston as a rookie. If you made a list of the people to which Newman owes his success, one of those names would also have to include Matt Borland. Borland joined the Penske operation in 1999 as an engineer, and in April of 2000 was picked to be Newman's crew chief. Now, under his guidance, Newman was able to win 3 races and 2 poles in just 5 ARCA starts. Thanks to people like Borland, Penske, and minority owners Don Miller and Rusty Wallace, Newman is prepared to give other NASCAR drivers a run for their money. He is definitely someone who will be making other drivers glance nervously in their rearview mirrors during any race. But when it comes to Wallace, Newman reserves the right to let him pass. After all, that's what teammates do.
Tony Stewart.
Some people have the type of personality for which there's no middle ground. You either like the person or you don't. Tony Stewart has that type of personality. It's Stewart's approach to life that makes him such a closely observed figure. And the very thing that angers many fans about Stewart is what appeals to other fans, his brutal honesty and outspokenness. It's something that has caused problems for him in the past, especially with the media. The fact is that when you ask Stewart a question, you will get an honest answer. He doesn't hold anything back, on or off the track. But regardless of whether you like or dislike Stewart, you can't argue with his success. Winner of the 2002 Winston Cup Championship, this driver began collecting victories early in his career and at an amazing pace. Stewart of Rushville, Indiana, first gained success racing open-wheel cars on dirt and paved ovals. He won USAC's Triple Crown, collecting titles in sprint cars, midgets, and Silver Crown machines in 1995. Following the career path of his idol, A.J. Foyt, Stewart started on the pole in the 1996 Indy 500 and won the 1997 Indy Racing League Championship. But he moved to NASCAR racing in 1998, competing in 22 Busch Series events while he ran a full IRL schedule. The next year, team owner Joe Gibbs signed Stewart to drive the Home Depot-sponsored Pontiac full-time in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Stewart responded with one of the most amazing rookie years in NASCAR history. With 3 wins, Stewart finished 4th in the final standings. He was a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year, and his infectious success on the track carried over to teammate Bobby Labonte, who won 5 races in his best year up to that point. But this was just the beginning for Stewart. In 2000, he further impressed the racing world with 6 victories and a 6th-place finish in the final standings as his teammate Labonte won the championship title. In 2001, Stewart won 3 more races and improved on his consistency and chased Jeff Gordon to the championship. The next season, he held off a late charge by veteran Mark Martin to capture the title. Stewart's hero, Foyt, and Mario Andretti have won both the Daytona 500 and Indianapolis 500. Stewart has yet to get a victory in either classic event, but he has done something Foyt and Andretti never achieved: championship titles in major IndyCar and stock car racing. There is no doubt that Stewart will be a major factor in the new millennium.